Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Marsh Stream, streaming theater for a public audience. Welcome everyone who is watching us on Zoom and also on YouTube Live. We've got programming on the Marsh Stream just about every night of the week. All our shows can be found on our website, www.themarsh.org. I'm going to turn things over to the man himself, Mr. David Ford. Take it away, David.
Hello. Hi, welcome to the Marsh, or what now exists as the space of the Marsh here in the virtual Marsh. I'm in fact in my living room, and I hope you all are in your living rooms and comfortably ensconced. What you'll be hearing tonight is new work, and we never quite know what we're doing when we're making new work until we get you all into the process. And we really are interested in your feedback. What we're going to do tonight is we will keep most microphones muted. There'll be a couple that'll be unmuted, but most will be muted. But we would love to hear your reactions in the chat. That's always a really great way to express your connection to things. And then meanwhile, well, let's just get the show going. I don't think we need much else besides just to introduce Fontana Butterfield. Take it away, Fontana.
I'm standing at the side of a dusty country road, holding out my tiny, soft, and slightly pudgy right hand with my thumb extended out. Somehow there is a streetlight at this crossroads. It flickers throughout the night, threatening the deepest of darkest at any moment. I think I can control my fate if I try hard enough. Car! Car! Stop. Stop. Stop! Dear God, I will be so good if you please make the next car stop. 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 Now. Stop. Okay, okay, don't cry. Make your face pretty and nice. You stupid dummy head! I am 4 years old. I wipe the snot off the cuff of my dirty jean jacket and curse with all my 40-pound might at the drivers that avoid my face and whip by, leaving us in their dust. She is there, laying on the bags that contain everything that we own. My mother, Marjorie. Busted flat in Baton Rouge, waiting for a train, when I was feeling just as faded as my jeans. Fontana, keep sending out good vibes. Bad vibes won't make the cars stop. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I want a bed and food and boundaries. I am raw with the weight of searching for a home. I'm wondering when happy ever afters begins. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Somehow we catch a ride, and then another, and we make it all the way to Drain, Oregon, and Rainbow Farm. 100 acres of forests, creeks, pastures, and magical fairy rings, and a room of our own. We sleep together on a mattress on the floor in the main house. Mornings at Rainbow Farm begin at dawn, when all of the family members meet in the meditation room to chant Om for hours. I play in the corner, feeling the melodic hum through the floor. Home. Every morning I wait on the perch of the porch of the front main house, waiting for my pony, Raisin, to appear. Raisin trots up from the barn. I jump on his bare back, grabbing onto his silky mane as he bolts down the hill. Preschool was me and a bunch of naked hippie kids, wandering through pastures and meadows and fairy rings. For snack time, we would saunter through the garden and stop at the cornfield, picking an ear of corn from the corn stalk and eating it raw. It tastes alive. We would make it to the edge of the garden and stop at the teepee. Oh yes, we had a real-life Native American living in a teepee on this hippie commune. His name is Bill. Later, when I'm big, like now, I think about Bill and how all these young, mostly white men and women appropriated as much as they could from the Native American culture. I don't know how Bill felt at the time, but to me, he was solid and kind and taught me how to play chess. I'm in the back of a van with all 7 of the Rainbow family kids. We'll travel for 3 days and 3 nights. Not only do we not have seatbelts, we don't have seats. Mommy, I miss Raisin. Why can't we take him with us? Fontana, you can't take a pony on a road trip. But why, Mommy? Fontana, stop. Raisin will be at Rainbow when we get back. Mommy, why are we going to Colorado? I don't want to have my birthday in Colorado. Colorado. Did Bill tell you about the prophecy? What's a prophecy? 200 years ago, the Native American nations predicted that the great white buffalo will reappear on a mountain called Tabletop Mountain in Granby, Colorado on July 4th, 1972, after the great-great-grandchildren of the white conqueror grow their hair long, rebel against society, and gather on my birthday. Sure, on your birthday. Mommy, what's a society and why is it called Tabletop Mountain? Does it look like a table? Yes, dear, yes. Now let's try and get some sleep for a while. Mommy, will I get to have a cake this year? We'll see. We'll see. Even though we ain't got money, I'm so in love with you, honey. Every day will bring a chain of love. In the morning when I rise, bring a tear of joy to my eyes and tell me everything's gonna be all right. We make it to Granby, Colorado, and the base of Tabletop Mountain. And then we hike 8 miles up the mountain. We finally make it to a clearing, and I see a bunch of mostly naked men digging a trench at the forest line, and a woman nursing a baby while making bricks out of mud and grass. Tents are being erected out of tarp and rope. There's drum circles and tie-dyed hippies dancing wildly, mingling with newly returned vets, their faces filled with shock and awe. Everyone is stoned. Hey there, little sister, isn't it wild? Everyone is here to celebrate your birthday. Hey, far out, it's your birthday. Your name is Fontana, and you were born on the 4th of July. That is so heavy. How old are you now? I'm going to be 5, but I can't be 5 until I have a cake. Later that night, around the epic bonfire, joints are passed, songs are sung, and out of the smoky swirl, I am presented with a cake. carrot with cream cheese frosting, decorated with wildflowers and even a candle. Hundreds of mostly naked flower children, as they chose to be called, at their peak, sing to me. The great white buffalo never appears. That Christmas, back at Rainbow Farm, I'm presented with my first store-bought Christmas present, a full-size Hershey chocolate bar. I open it slowly, crinkling the silver paper, smelling the intoxicating smell of milk chocolate. It tickles my nose and raises the hairs on my arms, salivating as the first perfect square lands and melts on my tiny pink tongue. Chocolate. That winter, we have record cold and snowfall. There are 40 or so family members living off my mother's one welfare check. I savor that chocolate bar for days. That chocolate bar becomes my little buddy, my superpower against the agave syrup, the honey, and the carob. On the stove, a full pot of lentil stew is always there, right next to the pot of peyote tea. Sure, she can have a sip, it's fine. Record cold and snowfall, the roads are closed. We are starving. The men decide to hunt. Yes, those mostly white young men play at being native. They fled their establishment families, their Ivy League schools. They dodged the draft or served in Vietnam and came home here to heal. Garrick, a thin, kind man with fluffy hair, fashions a bow and some arrows, and the men stalk a buck up and down the meadow until finally, snap, crack, bleat! From my perch on the porch, I see crimson blood melting into the snow. The men are victorious. Meat! We have meat! The smell on the fire pit in the yard is intoxicating. Garrick, what's that? Venison, he says, as he slowly and carefully, so that I know it's important, offers me the heart of the deer. I take the sacrament into my tiny hands, savoring the musky smell with my little fingers. It smells smoky and juicy and alive. Venison. The word sounds chocolatey. We make it to spring. And then we are back on the road again until one morning, I wake up in a real bed made of rich, dark wood. I peer over soft, white, fluffy blankets and see beautiful white curtains and a closet that matches the bed. I open the closet and stare at so many perfectly white folded towels and feel squishy white soft carpet beneath my feet. I listen to the quiet. I lay on the clean carpet. Fontana, we can't stay here. We have to go now. But why, Mommy? I like it here. Mommy, you always say that love is the answer, and that's what they say. Mommy, I want to stay here with the Love family. She takes me in her arms, wraps me in her embrace. She smells like fresh baked bread and vanilla. Her chest envelops me, and I feel her warmth glow through me. If we stay here, I have to sleep with Love Israel, and I don't want to. Hardly seems fair. I mean, his name is Love. Still, I know. The energy changes when he enters the room. I feel a prickly, better behave feeling that grows like shame. We're back on the road again. She is hopeful. I and resentful. I don't know this word yet, but the feeling blooms. We make it back to Sonoma County. I go to school. My mom packs chapatis with miso and tahini. I trade it for bologna on white bread. Learn about the world. Then one night, when we're in our cozy new home in Forestville, California, the door opens and the Birdman appears. He fills the doorway with golden light. He looks just like Jesus from the pictures of the Bible storybooks that I steal from the dentist office. It's beautiful. And my mother suddenly transforms into this sunny, shimmering, sensual, pottery-making goddess. And I am there for everything. The first time they drop acid together, I collect rosebuds and place them in their laps. Their first movie date, I bring along my 7-year-old crush. We see Last Tango in Paris. That Christmas, my new daddy takes me to the forest on the hill to pick out the tree. Real daddy-daughter stuff. He patiently watches me survey each of the Christmassy trees, presenting each option with a flourish. I reject each one, basking in all of the attention and consideration, until finally I see it. The very top of a 25-foot tree, just the tippity top, even on all sides, pointy at the top, perfect. Can we get that one? You mean the top of the tree up there? Yeah, is that okay? But of course, my dear, an honor and a pleasure. And I watch him climb up to the top of that 25-foot tree carrying a chainsaw. He chops it off and it lands perfectly at my feet. Later, he will show up for everything. All my school plays, my broken down cars, and every single move I make. I hug him. Oh, he smells like wood chips and old cars and clean dirt. I don't tell them that the tree is actually a little bit sparse in the back. I'm 12. I'm all feathered hair, big boobs, and tentative confidence. I'm living a double life. I'm at school, I'm sort of kind of fitting in, but we move a lot, so I am constantly the new girl. I go to the school dance. Oh, the cafetorium has never looked better. Colored lights, disco ball, and Blondie blaring from the speakers. At the entrance, we quickly reapply our bubblegum flavored Bonnie Bell. I've just seen my rich Aunt Myrna, who took me to get a haircut at a salon. I brought my best friend, Lisa Montgomery. I'm wearing pink ditto jeans, my rainbow tube top. Yes, the same tube top I wore when the principal made me go and put my jacket on for the rest of the day so that the boys would not be susceptible to their urges. And my brand new rainbow platform flip-flops. I just found out that Stacy Miller and Steve Fox have broken up. Lisa, oh my God, you don't understand. This is Stacy Miller and Steve Fox. No one thought this could ever happen. This is my chance. Oh my God, don't have a cow. Just remember, we have to meet your dad at 11. He's picking us up. I know. I am so glad I told him to meet us at the church. I know. Can you imagine anyone seeing us getting into the hippie school bus? We can't let that happen. Pinky swear? I see Steve Fox. He's leaning against a wall, feathered brown hair, tan cords, and a green Izod polo. Oh, I want to be that little tiny alligator on his chest. I puff up and approach. Flip, 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 flip. Oh, hey, Steve. So, do you want to dance? His eyes slide down to my tube top. Yeah, but I only dance to slow songs. I I know, me too. I mean, doy. One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you. It's way after 10 o'clock and no slow song yet. I'm freaking out. Finally, Donna Summer's Last Dance comes on. The crowds part and we walk towards each other. Flip, flip. He smells like ivory soap. Oh, his eyes-odd alligator melts into my chest, and I melt into him like a Hershey bar on a hot day. Oh, he looks into my eyes. I lick my lips and lean in. It's the last chance for love. Oh, all of a sudden, the song goes from slow to fast. I didn't know that this happened to that song. Why, Donna Summer, why? He shrugs and backs away, pretty much doing the moonwalk. Lisa has been ready to pounce. Fontana, it's after 11. We have to go now. Goodbye, Steve. The world is so cruel. Well, where are you going? I'll walk you out. No, please. It's okay. My dad is meeting us at the church. He calls his crew over. It's not safe out there, girls. We're coming with you. Takes his comb out of his back pocket, slides it through his bangs, prepared for anything. We run as fast as we can. The tube top can't take the strain, and my platform shoes are digging into the soft earth. I see the church and the school bus lit up like Vegas. I forgot to tell him to turn the lights off. Wait, girls, wait, it's not safe. He is totally freaking out. My dad swings open the bus. We dive in. He closes up behind us, legs crossed, totally at ease, in his usual fake British accent and his big giant beard and mustache. Well, good evening, ladies. How was the dance? Oh my God, Dad, just go now. The boys start banging on the side of the bus. Hey, you dirty hippies, let the girls out of there. My dad's a sheriff. You're gonna totally get arrested, you stupid fucking hippies. My dad opens the door and in full-on crazy hippie magic says, and tears off into the night. For years, I will fantasize that mine and Lisa's pictures appear on milk cartons. Have you seen this child? A few months later, I discover none such farm school, forest, creeks, pastures, and long-haired hippie teachers. My people. My mother's overtly feminist pottery and my dad's illegal plants in the greenhouse are suddenly assets. Not only am I in, I am revered. Yeah, we can go to my house to get stoned. Come on over.
Yay!
Yay! Very nice. I don't like dating sites. I've never met anyone worth knowing. Besides, I have a romantic streak. As my favorite novelist Dostoevsky once wrote, we sometimes encounter people, even perfect strangers, who begin to interest us at first sight. Somehow, suddenly, all at once before a word has been spoken. That's how it feels when I first meet Maria at a party. I'm standing in a crowded hallway. We lock eyes. It's like a laser between us. Beautiful blue eyes. I find my way over to her among a group of women at the top of the stairs, and I say something about copyright. Yeah, nerdy. Maria looks at me and says, "You know things." I find her remark insightful. Besides being a musician, she's also a massage therapist. I try to get her card, but somehow I never do. I watch her disappear down 2 flights of steps. Maria finds me on Facebook. She writes, "Hey, Laura, want to come out and play?" At first I hesitate. There's energy, but there's a little rational voice in my head that says, musician, massage therapist, could be flaky. I hear my mother's voice. You should try and find a nice Jewish professional. But I figure, what could a date or 2 hurt? When there's that much energy with somebody, light is impossible. We go on 1 date, 2, and then we're together every night. One night early on, over dinner and a bottle of wine, Maria's face suddenly changes. She picks up her wine glass from the table and throws it against the wall. Hey, lady, what was that? I almost leave, but our hearts are already tied together. Please don't do that. Maria had a terrible childhood. She was kicked out of her house at 16 for being gay because she came from a very strict religious family. She's also a rape victim. So I give her some slack. The next morning we wake up, we laugh, snuggle, we read poetry. We both like Baudelaire, Adrienne Rich, Patti Smith. We love the same movies. Bergman's Fanny and Alexander, Kaufman's The Unbearable Lightness of Being. Our love is sensual, unlike my last girlfriend, and intellectually fun. A couple of weeks later, she's having a fight with her bass player. We just finished a bottle of wine, but she insists on tracking him down, and she insists on driving. I let her. Oh. She turns into a parking lot. The wheels squeal. We hit a concrete wall. There's minimal damage to the car. I don't know why I let her drive me home. I just try and focus on the fun. We go to Iceland for a music festival. In between bars and bands, we visit icebergs and heated pools. We laugh a lot. We like to play with words, and we love to use 70s and 80s pop music as a reference for our amusement. It's like our own language. Maria's heading for the grocery store, and I break out into, all by myself, don't wanna be all by myself. We go sailing, and we both break out into Enya's sail away, sail away, sail away. We even harmonize. About a year into the relationship, we move in together. The crazy stuff increases. Instead of being pissed at her bass player or her crazy religious family, I become the source of all her pain. But I stay. I keep hoping the Maria that I fell in love with will come back. She decides to go into Freudian analysis. One day, I'm trying to discuss our problems with her, and she looks at me and goes, "Stop! My analyst says something about your voice is triggering for me." She runs out of the room, throws open the coat closet so hard that it puts a hole in the wall. A week later, I end it. 7.5 years from the day we met. 7 years too long. Should have been a 6-month fling. I contemplate dating apps again, but I still like to meet people in person, even though it didn't work out so well for me this time. As the divorce winds down, I make my annual pilgrimage to South by Southwest Interactive in Austin, Texas. This is my favorite tech conference because it happens at the same time as a music and a film festival. So the corporate types are mixed in with the funky artists, and it's a lot more fun. I'm looking through the speaking program and I see a talk called Relationships Are Ripe for Machine Learning by Sydell. I gotta go. The talk is in a half-empty hall with a stage up front. I snag a chair right near the back door because in case it sucks, I can leave. Suzanne is up front setting up. She's got a head of tight, dirty blonde curls and a black top and a short red leather jacket. She's wearing a pair of eyeglasses with two-tone frames that are très chic. Have you ever wondered what is known about you? I mean all of it. The trips through the toll booth, the purchases at the grocery store, every picture you've posted on Instagram, every movie you've watched on Netflix, your medical records, your heart rate. I realized that Amazon knows exactly how fast I read a book. And Fitbit knows who I am by the pace of my gait. Just so you know, I am not an incompetent tech journalist. I am fully aware of all of this. Does it start to make you a little uncomfortable? Yeah, I know. Well, I think it's great. And I want more. And I am going to make you want more too. What I am proposing will disrupt the way that human beings have done relationships since the dawn of time. Now, I am used to this kind of disruption talk. Every startup says it's going to disrupt something. Taxi cabs, grocery deliveries, but yeah, relationships, it's kind of new. You know how some relationships, no matter how full of hope they begin, just turn out to be toxic? Yeah. Imagine if you had an early warning system, like literally a dashboard that would flash red when it turned out somebody wasn't good for you. Frankly, I wish Maria had had a red light flashing over her head. What I am proposing and predicting is that relationships will become more like shopping for food. That's why it's time for my startup, Friend Nutrition. We will take the data we know about us and the people around us to manipulate body chemistry with friends. We already know that the people around us can have a significant impact on our health. You are more likely to smoke if your friends do. So who you hang out with really matters. It may have to be a bit more like shopping for food when you're shopping for relationships. You might need to put a little more salmon and kale in your shopping cart. Imagine your own personal algorithm, which knows your likes, dislikes, body chemistry, vital signs, and it determines that going out with a certain person isn't good for you, and that date just magically falls off your calendar. When Suzanne is done with her talk, I go up to her and hand her my card. Hi, I'm from NPR. I'd love to talk to you about your startup. We agree to meet at 5 p.m. at the Four Seasons bar. When I arrive, the place is hopping. Hi. I see a few other journalists I know. Suzanne has managed to snag a coveted table right by the window. I make my way through a crowd of techies dressed in corporate casual. pressed t-shirts, polo shirts, women in sundresses, and of course, the creative types, man buns, dreadlocks, cowboy boots. Hello. Nice to see you. So tell me more about your startup. Oh, it's not a startup. It's an art project. Oh, I guess I missed that. It was in the program. Huh. But I'm an artist, though I try to be convincing. But I did work in tech for many years as a high-level corporate executive at Google and Samsung, so I do know a lot about tech. But I do these presentations as a way to test my ideas. And these ideas, well, I realized how much data these tech companies have, and they don't even know what to do with it. So I decided to become an artist so that I could use data to make art about the future. And the relationship stuff? Well, I got interested in it because, well, this is personal, but I went through a very bad divorce. And when I looked back on it, I realized I should have seen it coming. Then I realized that the companies had the data in their hands to really, really change things. How so? Come by my studio tomorrow and I'll show you. There's a lot of science behind this. The next day, I drive over to a neighborhood of warehouses. Suzanne's studio is in a low-lying, newly renovated space with concrete floors and echoing hallways and a trickling fountain in the lobby. I find her studio door and, may I help you? You don't recognize me? Should I? Lara, we are old friends. You look a little overdressed for the Texas heat. Three-piece suit? It is much colder in Russia. Fyodor? Fyodor Dostoevsky? Mr. Dostoevsky, I'd love to stay and talk, but I've got to get to a meeting. Do you mind if I join you? I think you're going to need me. Do I have a choice? Hello? Hi, come on in. What a lovely studio, so bright and so clean. That is a very bad sign. You should see the chaos of my desk, just the way it's supposed to be. You okay? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. So, let me show you what I'm working on. She points to a canvas on the wall that is covered in multicolored squares of felt. It looks a little bit like a spreadsheet designed by Mondrian. Mondrian made art, not spreadsheets. So it's lovely. I love the blues and the greens, the color palette. But what does this have to do with your data relationship theories? Okay, let me explain. Each vertical line of squares down represents a person. Across the top, you see man 35, woman 36, man 37, woman 38. Each color square is a personality trait. And the more colors you have in common with somebody, the more likely you are to get along. Bolshoi. This is about love? I don't understand. And there are a lot of people who say I'm a genius. Um, so where did you get the data for all this, and what does it have to do with pairing people together? So let me backtrack a little. The data's from OkCupid. Ah, how did you get it? Well, there were two scientists who scraped it off the site and just put it out on the internet for research. It's all anonymized, of course, no names, but it is a treasure trove. Huh. And the relationship between that and this lovely canvas? Well, let me show you some of the survey questions. Here's one. If your lover told you their deepest, darkest secret and you broke up, would you tell anyone? Oh, no. You are a very good soul. That means you're loyal. And you get a nice dark purple square. And that means you'd be better paired with somebody else who has a nice dark purple square. Let me show you another one. True or false? Love without pain is like food without taste. False. Ding, ding, ding. You get a nice bright yellow square because you're not a masochist. There is always masochism in love. Yeah, and I'd like to stop being a masochist. But remember the joy you had with Maria. It came with pain, but exactly. My answer to Suzanne was aspirational. I aspire to love without pain. There is always suffering in love. It is how we become human. People just don't admit that you could be happy and suffer at the same time. What if people lie? That's where the body chemistry comes in. You go out on a few dates with somebody, and you will know whether they are good for you or not. So if this stuff is so good, I don't understand why OkCupid didn't just use it. They're not ready to make the investment yet, but they will be, Laura. This is inevitable. Anyone who has ever had a bad relationship and wondered how they got into it is going to want this. Do you really think this is going to work? I'm an artist. When I worked in tech, I had to get caught up in all the little details. But as an artist, I get to leap off the cliff out into the future and show the way. Now, the companies bring me in to consult because they want to do this. You're really falling for this fanatic? Well, she could be onto something. Raskolnikov is fanatic. He killed people. All fanatics step over dead bodies on their way to perfect future. You really think algorithm gonna show you who to love? Well, if I could have avoided all those terrible years with Maria. Did you have a friend or two who tell you Maria not good for you? Yes. Did you listen? No. You studied me in college. You read Notes from Underground, Crime and Punishment. Yes, sir. You remember I have image of a crystal palace. Oh, yes. That was the World's Fair in London in 1851, and they built the exhibition hall out of steel and glass, and they filled it with all the latest scientific breakthroughs. Exactly. They want to show off values of enlightenment. They think science and reason will solve all humanity's problems. If we just know what is good for us, we will do it. Do we? No, sir. Now they want to turn love into science. We find the right partner and we live happily ever after. This is not human nature. I tear open my vest and I bare my heart. A human heart. Not indestructible bit of crystal, not computer. I don't want your algorithm. But Mr. Dostoevsky, my heart is broken. She took something from me. Maybe an algorithm isn't such a bad idea. Oh, moja druga. To suffer is to be human. That is how we become human. Man will never renounce destruction and chaos. You tell me 2 times 2 is 4, I say it's 5. What are you gonna do about it? If you think that human beings will renounce destruction and chaos, look around you. So isn't this amazing? We will be able to perfect human relationships with an algorithm, the love algorithm. The love algorithm. I think I have to get going, but thank you so much for explaining all this to me. I might be interested in a story. I have to discuss it with my editor. So I'll get back to you. I think I'm going to get going now. But remember what I say. Bye. Bye. Oh, bye. A couple days later, I head home, but I keep thinking about this idea of a love algorithm. If they had one, would I want to use it? Would you? I mean, what do computers know about love? Love is irrational. Dostoevsky's got a point. As my grandmother said, frequently, it's just as easy to fall in love with a rich one as a poor one. I have a terrible knack for falling in love with the poor ones. After my horrible divorce, I start to think about dating again. I'm kind of wary, but loneliness has a way of pushing me out of my shell. One day I make an announcement to my roommate who's been urging me to date. Guess what? What? I think I'm going to sign up for a dating site. Cool. I have some friends who met the love of their life on OkCupid. Huh. I've heard of some women getting suckered on OkCupid. I was actually thinking about JDate. JDate? Really? Well, I don't know. I might meet a nice Jewish girl or boy or something. There's a lot more people on OkCupid. I'm sure there is. You want to widen the pool. Actually, I want to narrow the pool. I want somebody to screen them for me. I want somebody to help me pick someone who's good for me. As the words come out of my mouth, I feel like it's somebody else saying it. And yet, I believe it as I say it. I'm sorry, Mr. Dostoevsky. I just don't know if I can bear your reality.
Yay! Great.
Yay.
Yay!
Prior to this episode of Benjamin's Passion, we pass an idyllic year with American Festival Ballet in Boise, Idaho, under the direction of Benjamin Kuzmichev. Shortly before this scene begins, we see the start of a new year with a new young executive director who has ideas about how to fill auditorium seats, such as bringing in the local football team to do Nutcracker. Benjamin and this new director, Betty, do not hit it off. As the scene begins, we hear Benjamin calling out the counts for Nutcracker rehearsal.
Ready? And 1, 2, 1, 2, run and up. 1, 2, 1, 2, run and up and up. Jump, up, down, hold. Good enough. Go home, rest.
Thank you, Benjamin. Wow, out of here already, Renee? Man, you're fast. Bye, Cassie. No, I'm slow, don't you know? I'm always the last to leave out of any studio or theater. I really don't see what the big rush to leave is. I mean, it's finally peaceful. And I'm tired. It's been a long day of rehearsal for this Nutcracker. Sometimes I feel like I'm everyone's grandmother. You know, they all run around me like puppies. Of course, most of them are about 10 years younger than I am. 33. I don't have many more years left. Even Christine, the school director, is about my age. I guess that's one way to transition. Teach, direct a company, a school. But I don't want to transition. I am so lucky I landed this gig. I don't know how I'm ever going to go through another round of auditions whenever this ends. But, of course I will. I decided to become a dancer really late. I was 20. Best decision I ever made. Takes 100% of you. Every choice, where to live, what to eat, what to do in your spare time, is predicated on how it affects my dancing. It is who I am. But funding cuts have caused companies to fold, and I feel this ever-increasing number of young dancers at my back, going for those ever fewer jobs. But what else can I be? I'm a dancer. When that ends, I'll be erased. I wonder if Benjamin misses dancing. I mean, he must. Nobody quits by choice. It's just forced on you, either by age, injury, lack of jobs, roles. Still, he seems to like being like a father to us, directing us. I don't know how much he likes choreography, though. Though, he does seem to beam as he teaches us our roles. I mean, I think it's possible to love something without it driving you into a perfectionistic frenzy all the time, right? Or is that just like? Love does suggest passion. Well, anyway, he seems happy. Or he did last year. This year, I'm not so sure. But where would he go if he weren't happy? How would he ever get another dance job? We're in the middle of nowhere. I guess he better be happy. There's nothing else for him. Well, I can't sleep here. Best be off. Last one here. What else is new? Benjamin, long gone. All is calm. The next morning, Benjamin is late. Ha! Renee. Look, there's Christine. Why is she here, not Benjamin? Cassie. Wait, isn't she the school director? Oh, she looks serious. Something is really wrong. You can see it in her face. Cassie, I'm sure everything is fine. Please. Christine stands at the front of the room and stares at the dancers. Well, as you can see, Benjamin is not here today. And while we don't know where he is, we are sure he's okay. Someone's going to his apartment now to look for him. But rather than wait, let's just start class. She calmly conducts class and starts to rehearse what has been done so far. Days go by, no Benjamin. Cassie, have you heard anything new? No, they've called the police and checked the hospitals. He's completely disappeared. He's clearly dead, either in some dumpster somewhere being eaten at by rats or in the woods being pecked at by vultures. It's been 3 days. I'm sure he's okay somewhere. Maybe just taking a break or something. Well, I don't know, but it's way too soon to jump to conclusions. I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody called him out of town or something. How can you guys be so calm about this? It's as plain as the nose on your face. He's dead. And so the days of our lives continue. Christine reworks the battle scene between the football players and the mice. So, nothing? How can he have completely disappeared? I was wondering if maybe he'd been having some affair or something. Maybe they ran off, secretly eloped. Maybe that's why his marriage broke up. Oh, that would be so romantic. Well, I hardly think his ex-wife would think that. Any other thoughts? Kidnapping. They must have drugged and dragged him away. Oh, I wonder how they got the drugs into him. I hope they didn't use needles. Oh, and then they must have chopped him up into lots of little pieces so they could put him in the dumpster and hide him better so the rats would eat him faster. Cassie, someone told me that Esther told Benjamin before she hired him when he was still in the Ukraine that the KGB captured him and put him in a box in the middle of an orchard. Seriously? Why? Well, I guess they thought he wouldn't get out, but he did, and he escaped the Ukraine and flew as far away as he could, all the way to Idaho. But the KGB must have followed him here, and they're the ones who captured him and drugged him and chopped him up into little pieces to put him in the dumpster so the rats could eat. Interesting theory. Not gruesome at all. I really liked my idea better. There is one other thought. Oh, I don't know why this hadn't occurred to me before. What if he were really depressed? And, oh, I hope not. No. What would put an idea like that into your head? It's just his sins. He's not the same this year as last. Haven't you noticed? I mean, maybe directing us and having a boss that doesn't know anything about ballet tell him how to choreograph is not where he thought he'd be right now. So maybe he's in crisis. And while he could just walk away, directing us is still better than any other non-dance job. So, yeah. And he's not in any hospital. So therefore, he must be dead. By suicide. Oh, Benjamin. Weeks go by. Chatter ceases. We need to perform this new Nutcracker in just a couple weeks. Christine gets to work and finishes it. Finally, it is ready, with Christine at the helm. And once again, I'm reminded we are all expendable. The show will always go on, even song director. Poor Benjamin. One morning, I walk into the studio. Benjamin, where have you been? Are you okay? I mean, it's great to see you, but what happened?
Why don't you act strange? Don't worry, be happy, it's okay. Bad man with gun, come to studio and tell me to leave and not come back. I go to Mexico. I come back for you. Make Nutcracker for you. Dancer tell me Christine finish Nutcracker, but it's not my Nutcracker. So, again, we make good.
This is so weird. I hear his story, but I was here that night when he left, and there was no bad man with a gun. Even the world's quietest struggle would have made some sound. There was nothing. Not a sound. So, do you think that Benjamin actually believes what he's saying? That he saw a man with a gun walk into the ballet studio and tell him to leave? The KGB, they must have captured him, but he escaped again. Right. Boy, those KGB folk are quiet, since I didn't hear anything. But why would anybody come into a ballet studio and point a gun at him and tell him to leave? I mean, could somebody have disliked his choreography that much that they told him to leave and not come back? A dance aficionado trying to do Idaho a favor? Our worlds are so different. I really don't know him at all. We're only drawn together by dance. But that is something. The willpower to push your body and make it do the choreographer's bidding in service of an idea takes a certain emotional intensity. There are maybe not that many relaxed, laid-back ballet dancers in the world, hence a tendency towards anorexia, masochism. And I did learn early on that ballet is not a democracy. You do not choose what steps you want to do and when you want to do them. You have to subvert any independent thoughts and bend them to your teacher, choreographer, or director's will. But it takes a certain intensity to do the work, to feel the music, to express the effect of a jilted love. I need to express music and character the way that feels right to me, but I can't let a teacher or director think I'm resisting direction. I have to submerge any independent ideas. No yeah buts. You must be a good, little, strong, emotional, and intense lamb. In one studio I worked for, in one company I worked for, the walls had ears. The co-director would hear anything said in studio grounds. She would also weigh us the day after Thanksgiving to see who had eaten too much the preceding day. But their rep makes it all worthwhile. Scheherazade, Petrushka, La Sylphide, the list goes on. But you have to watch yourself. Don't show pain, don't show weakness of any type. Look eager, make whatever they give you work on your body. Just, you make it happen. If something hurts, oh well, you don't let it show. You rise above it. You're an actress first and a gymnast to music second. The inner must only show in service of the outer. So how different is it to be a dancer in the Ukraine? Especially 1949 Ukraine, when Benjamin is young. I mean, my career path isn't his career path. I actively chose to be a dancer after much soul searching. His career was dictated to him by the Soviet state at a young age. But really, the Soviet Union is like an oversized ballet company. Or a ballet company is a microcosm of the totalitarian state. Ukraine under Khrushchev. I must leave at school. I want to leave at home, Mama. Benjamin, the Ukraine State School of Ballet take you. You make my heart proud. You will make Ukraine proud. I go leave at school. Every morning, 6:30, bugle sounds. Must get ready for class. 2 hours dance, then studies. But lunch, there is meat. My mama no have meat. She hungry. Class same every day. Boring. Except when jump. I have good jump. Best jump. Years later, I pass, accepted into state company. Is great. Maybe not best company, but great. Ukraine is based. We dance Red Puppy again. And why dance Geyomi? Ballet about a happy cotton picker. Cotton picker no happy. Oh, bad thoughts. We must show whole Soviet Union, Ukraine good Soviet too. There is nightclub in Kiev. We go after rehearsal. Very good music. Do dance. Disco from West. It is very sexy. Oh, club director reported to KGB. Bee Gees, illegal music. Debauchery from West. He also taught Ukraine national dances to club dancers. Very dangerous.
We may not see him again. Must stay true Soviet. My mama remember Ukraine. They say Ukraine owe all to Russia. But Ukraine had good ballet before Soviet. Dangerous thinking. Staying alive, staying alive. Rudy Nureyev, defect. He famous in West. Sasha too, Misha, all have good lives in free West. KGB maybe can see my thought. Must go. How? I only in state company. We no tour West. I wait. I watch thoughts. Glasnost. Maybe now go? (1993), Boise, Idaho. We survived the Nutcracker, and Boise does not go wild over seeing its football team on stage. Score one for humanity. Gradually, we return to life as it used to be. Benjamin seems upbeat again as he starts to work on a new ballet. It's all going to be okay. One night on tour, the curtain rises. What was that? We race to the wings just in time to see the lead dancer bounce up from the floor. 2 steps later, she falls again. The stage is covered in oil. What? Are you sure? It was fine during run-through. I look over my shoulder just in time to see Benjamin, ashen, looking over his shoulder too. Huh. What do we do now? Right now? I think maybe just bend your knees a little and maybe don't go on point for everything. We need to be out there right now. Merit, everyone. Clap, clap. No matter how gently we danced, the sound of dancers hitting the floor was a constant accent in music. We survived the piece with nothing more than bruises and indignation. Who oiled the stage? We ask the crew, the musicians, the janitor. Benjamin is strangely silent. No one takes responsibility. See, the KGB really does have it out for Benjamin. Right. I think someone probably just used a little too much oil on their instrument. Maybe just got over on things or something. Right. That must have been one oily tuba. Amazed the musician could hang on to his instrument for the whole show. But we never did find out what happened. But why would anybody sabotage the show?
Yay.
I'm 16 years old and sitting at the dinner table with my family and on this particular evening, my best friend, Alexis. Getting us all to the dinner table is a bit like trying to put puppies into a box. As soon as my sister sits down, my brother gets up to go check the Lakers score. And then when he returns, my dad has to take a phone call, and then my mom's forgotten the salt shakers, and it kind of goes on and on like this until eventually my sister Corey can't take it any longer and whines, "You guys, can we just pray already?" All right. Kelly, why don't you lead us this time? Sure. Mikey, give me your hand. Bless the Lord, and these I guess are amen. Okay, let's eat. There are 2 casserole dishes of chicken and dumplings that are quickly devoured. And then my dad begins with a question, always an abstract one. So, got a new week ahead of us. Mom, kids, you too, Lex. How are you going to be a better human being this week? What is one positive decision you want to make at school? What do you want to... I want you to know that I'm happy for you. And no singing at the table. Sorry, Dad. Michael, why don't you go first?
I want to hit a home run at baseball.
All right, Michael. What do you need to do to put yourself in a position to succeed at that?
I'm going to go to practice.
All right. What else?
And I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away.
And what did I just say? Sorry, I really didn't mean to. That's enough. Go to your room. But I really didn't mean to. You're being disrespectful. Go take a time out and collect yourself. What is this, Footloose? Listen, do you want to be grounded? No? Then go to your room. So my best friend is sitting at the table with my family, while I, at 16 years old, am in timeout for singing. I'm seething because I can't see that I've done anything wrong. Because it wasn't something I felt like I could control. Because my dad just doesn't seem to understand that. My parents tried other things before medication. In the 5th grade, I transferred schools to a competitive college prep school. And our first big project of the year was this Civil War unit, which involved a lot of little assignments that our teacher kept track of on a star chart. For weeks, I wasn't getting any stars. So my mom and the teacher have a meeting.
Listen, Annie, I know you're disappointed about your grades.
I wasn't disappointed, but clearly she was.
So I talked to your teacher and, well, listen, I have a patient who is an Abraham Lincoln impersonator. And your teachers agreed that if he comes into your class and will dress you up like a young colonial woman and will bake some cornbread, then we can get through this. You can pass. Isn't that exciting?
Okay. What the fuck kind of individualized education plan is that? I mean, how is some dude coming into my classroom pretending to be Abraham Lincoln supposed to set me up for success in the future? Like, what's the lesson there? But, you know, I'm 10. I'm just trusting that the adults have figured out something that I haven't. So this dude shows up with the beard and the hat and the loud presidential voice. And he informs me that the whole reason I'm dressed up in this stupid bonnet and dress is because I will be playing the part of Gracie Bledel. Gracie Bledel was this little girl who wrote Lincoln a letter telling him to keep his beard so he would get votes. So I'm sitting at the front of the class, all dressed up like this, trying to make myself as small as possible. Now, I arrive at the station greeted by a large crowd, just like all of you.
There were ladies and several thousand of the sterner sex, and little Gracie Bladell. And she is so excited to see me, she weaves through the crowd, and when she gets to me, she taps me on the shoulder and gives me a kiss on the cheek. A kiss then, Gracie.
The class erupts in laughter. No, I don't want to.
Come on, Gracie. I can't keep telling the story until you give me a kiss.
No.
Come on, just a little one.
We're at a standstill. I make a promise to myself that I won't actually kiss him. I lean in about 2 inches away from his thick, scraggly brown beard and pout and quickly turn away. The class loses it. Fake Abraham Lincoln cannot get control.
Ew, you kissed him on the cheek. Gross, Annie.
So the teacher steps in. Okay, Annie, I think this would be a nice time to pass out the cornbread.
Yeah.
So one by one, I pass out these little loaves. And one by one, I meet their teasing and laughter. I eat lunch alone in the bathroom that day. And I pass the Civil War unit. In the 6th grade, my mother informed me that I was going to be tested for attention deficit disorder. What's that? This was in 1998 when attention deficit disorder wasn't a very widely diagnosed condition. My only reference point at 11 years old was a line from Blink-182, and I quote, "My friends say I should, what the hell is ADD? My friends say I should act my age." My mother never actually told me what ADD was. Annie, it means you're special. Albert Einstein had it. So did Robin Williams. I didn't want to be Albert Einstein. I thought the genie from Aladdin was really funny, but mostly I wanted what most kids my age wanted, which was just to fit in. The test goes something like this. The psychologist asks you a series of questions, all more or less asking the same thing. Was it difficult for you to learn growing up? Did you have a hard time focusing, sitting still in class, paying attention to your teachers? I offer a lot of, yeah, maybe, I guess. I don't really know. My mother is then brought into the room and asked the same questions. And she is somber. And the answer always seems to be yes. I'm then placed in a room to play what is the world's most unstimulating computer game. I'm given a button and told to press it whenever there's a blue square in the left corner. If there's a blue square in the right corner, don't push it. If there's a red square in the left corner, don't push it. Okay. Blue square, left corner. Got it. Blue square, right corner. No. Red square, left corner. Red square, right corner. Red square, right corner. Red square. The carpet in here looks like the carpet in my grandma's house. But there's these little black lines and then these little red lines on top of it. It's not soft though. It's so cold in here. Oh no, I missed one. Red square. That one wasn't right. Blue square, red square. My mother and I returned to the psychologist a couple weeks later to go over the results. Turns out I'm not very good at the game. But I'm told I have the verbal comprehension and spelling of an 11th grader, which my mom is quite pleased by. I just want to be in 6th grade. I'm given a prescription for a light orange pill that I'm told to take twice a day, which meant going to the nurse's office midway through the school day. I hated this moment more than anything because it meant I had to leave and my friends started to take notice. Hey, Annie, why are you going to the office? I have a headache. Why do you always have a headache? What's wrong with you? I don't really know. I'll meet you guys downstairs. Go on ahead. By high school, I'd switched medications. I was told that the regular meds I was taking just weren't going to cut it in this new, really competitive environment. I think I was told that. Or maybe it just happened. 45 minutes after breakfast, I'd become mildly sedated. The drugs always peaked around second period, which happened to be my English class, where I sat behind the quarterback of the football team. Most classes, he'd spin around and flash me a smile. Sup, Rovzar? How we doing today? I rarely said anything in response. When I take Adderall, it's like one set of blinds shutting and another opening at the same time. Something wakes up, but part of me goes to sleep. I'm alert, but exceptionally self-conscious. I'm aware of every single word that comes out of my mouth. Before I raise my hand in class, I take one sentence and rearrange the syntax 10 times. It feels like my brain has been doused in cold water. My thoughts slowed down enough for me to follow them to their completion. But there's this coldness to being, a thin film of melancholy that settles on the surface of everything. Sitting in the back of English class, I think so hard about Jung's shadow and its relation to Beowulf. It feels like I become a cave. Feels like my thoughts could leave a physical, I'm thinking so hard, it feels like my thoughts could leave a physical mark in the room. A dent in the ceiling or a hole in the floor. By 2 p.m., the drugs have worn off and I'm back to my grade school antics. It's like waking up for a second day within the first. At track practice after school, it's all jokes with the girls and my coach telling me what so many adults have told me before him. So much potential, if only you just focus. He pulls me aside, hoping that a one-on-one lesson will channel my attention. And it works, briefly, till I hear the other girls laughing, and I'm immediately more interested in joining them than whatever it is he's desperate to give me and all of my potential. Looking back, I didn't then, and I still don't feel like I ever suffered from a lack of attention. I could easily pay attention to something for hours. It just often wasn't the thing that the adults in the room wanted me to pay attention to. As a child, in the summertime, I'd sit on the floor of my parents' balcony and look out at the bay, like it was my job in the world to do. I was mesmerized by the way the lights shimmered on the surface, by the blueness of the water, in the varying shades of its depth. I made a regular appointment of walking down to the boat slips to visit the jellyfish that gathered just behind Mr. Bozel's boat. I stared at them for so long that they became a presence to me. So real and alive, I thought they might one day speak to me. Some days I'd put my ear close to the water, just in case they did. I studied the tiles in our home like they were a part of my own body, each Saltillo square a different swirl of sunset oranges. I fell asleep staring at the popcorn ceiling and searching for shapes in the walls, like they were clouds. Wherever there was a window, there was a world to look at. And I remember how often I woke in the morning with a sure sense of purpose. That there was a neighborhood that needed me to pay attention to it.
Yay!
Yay.
This is my favorite childhood book. It was given to us by a family that had more money in our small southern town. This is how life in a family looks. Beautiful, right? Everyone together like this in a lovely open concept floor plan. This is a fairy tale. I'm here to talk to you about architecture in this regard. This is an open concept floor plan. Here you are, here's your partner, same sex or not, does not matter. This is what I'm here to tell you. Do not look for an open concept floor plan. Since many people want one, whether renting or buying, this is going to save you money. I just want to say that when I first met my husband over 21 years ago, we were on a hike, a camping trip and a hike, and this enormous rattlesnake crossed our path. Waylon, he reminds me of Waylon Jennings, took something out of his pocket and maced the snake in the face. Didn't know what the snake would do, just maced it in the face. I am no longer interested in camping. Now, during COVID, I am camped out in the kitchen watching Fareed Zakaria, and he is camped out in the living room watching Africa with snakes all the time. All the time. In the middle, we have a table with a lovely cut glass vase. Light pours through, creates a prism. This is how I now see the inside of a marriage. This is what you know prior to marriage about each other. This is really all you know. And the reason you know so little is you have not been paying attention to the rattlesnakes. Now, by the end of month 6, here you are, here he is. Some things are beginning to define themselves. The snakes are starting to show up. Looks like a snake, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Now, by the end of year 1, many things have clearly defined themselves. One of you lacks boundaries. One of you is calling names. One of you is acting out. This one here is acting out. We can't talk about the nudist colony. No. And does the extended family know anything about the nudist colony? No, they don't, which makes you look like a troublemaker. Makes you look like a troublemaker, which is what that therapist told me I was over 30 years ago when I was dating some guy she did not figure out was an addict that my friends were calling the hamster man. Some of these therapists are not that smart. Now, placating. Not what I did after the nudist colony. No. Someone over here is screaming, yelling. You have your wounds. You have your wounds going into each other. You have your old wounds. You have your new wounds. Dot, 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 dot. You got your old wounds, your new wounds. I just want to tell you, I did a lot of inner work before I ever got married. It's just that marriage brings up a boatload of crap you never knew you had. You're the walking wounded by now. I am doing a PSA here in case you're thinking about getting a new partner. Now you're in crisis. You have got to go to couples therapy. What is the purpose of couples therapy? It is to support the couples therapist ad infinitum. You're going to talk about your family of origin. You are going to talk about how your mother said you could not have the furniture. I was standing in my mother's dining room. She had this lovely cut glass vase, her prized possession, on her dining room table. I had always wanted that cut glass vase. I knew it was going to my brother. But now she was saying that not only that, I could not have the furniture. I said, Mother, what? When I had a Southern accent. Mother, why, man? I tried to say it nicely. Mother, why, man, not have the furniture? Because you had sex before you were married. Good point. Because you meditated. Even the bishops in her Episcopal church meditate, but I don't meditate the way they meditate, so I don't get the furniture. Fuck it. I got my own cut glass. Now, my mother's modus operandi on a daily basis with me anyway was pretty much she was in pain, I've come to realize. I have this horrible, horrible doll to illustrate the point. This is a horrible, horrible doll that I was going to send to the Smithsonian's African American Museum, but I don't think they'd want it. While we had Cary Grant, yes, that was her name, doing all of the work for us, we were happy clan because she was doing the cooking, the cleaning, the ironing, the coleslaw, the childcare. When we lost Cary Grant, I am telling you, I didn't look anything like this anymore, and my mother was very angry. She tried to teach me to clean the house and shut up and sit down. But she was 5'2". She was the perfect sparring partner. She inadvertently taught me to speak up.
Yeah.
You can't do this in a marriage. You have to use I statements. Now, my husband's mother, she trumps my mother every day. His mother's way of living is kind of like, I hate it when you wash the dishes before you put them in the dishwasher. I'm just saying. Now, Waylon and I met online, and when I walked into that greasy spoon that day, something in him on some level must have said, this woman reminds me a bit of my mother. He doesn't have a Southern accent. Never mind.
Yeah.
The thing is, I am not afraid to say anything. It's just I feel bad after I say it. must remind him of his mother.
Mm.
Now, my father was an extraordinary human being, extraordinary, but he was whap, 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 walloping. I heard at school that everybody else was getting belted. Didn't seem like a big deal to get whapped. I just want to say all of these parents, you know, they had childhoods that were exponentially worse than ours. Exponentially worse, made ours look like pieces of cake, pieces of chocolate cake. Back generations, this is the case. Yeah, no doubt about that. Now his father, that's the same situation for his father. His father was also an extraordinary human being. Robbed a bank, went off to Spain.
Yeah.
Still alive. We can't say anything more about him. Now, Terry Gross really does not like it if we talk about the dead, from what I can tell. But I am going to talk about the dead because they're not dead. From what I can tell, many of them are hanging out in my kitchen. Now, I spoke with my father's spirit recently, and he said to me, "Whatever you do, do not make it more likely that you get shot." By year 3 of therapy, couples therapy, of course, you have this whole dang thing populated. You have here an alcoholic on the East Coast. You have some invisible children over here. People didn't know there were children involved. And then you have some suicidality on his side. Nobody, well, you couldn't tell looking at him that he has so much suicidality on his side. Now people want to leave. This is a little affair, and this is a big emotional affair, which threatens to pull everybody out of the marriage. I didn't have any affairs. I'm just saying this to be nice.
Yeah.
Now, what do the couples therapists do with this information? They try to pretend that you never said anything about it. And these little scout moms at these little scouting events in these little green shorts, God knows what happens there. I just want to tell you the most irritating thing about couples therapy is that I have taken Waylon to see a number of therapists. I have taken him to see my therapist, and they all think there's something very problematic about Waylon until they meet it. And then they're all kind of, oh, oh. I swear to you, even the male therapists are snowed. Even the males. My mother was the same way. She used to say, "Hello, dear. How are you? May I speak to Waylon?" During year 10 of the marriage, for obvious reasons, the vagina is drying up. You have in the middle of the ads for estrogen cream. It says right there in the middle of the ad in a box that it can give you cancer. Then the bras are hurting. You have the ex-wife over here. She's sending texts to say what a lovely person he is and how much she appreciates him, directly to him, for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. Isn't that lovely? The stepkids now have girlfriends. They have girlfriends who have guns. Lots of guns. Do you think of anyone better to shoot than a stepmother? If you're lucky, by now you have learned a few things about marriage. You have learned that you have to use I statements. Our favorite is I fuck you. Fighting agreements. You have to make agreements about such things as times of day you will have conflict. I like 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday. Family agreements. You are going to have to discuss the fact that everybody in the family knew that one of the extended family members had assault rifles, except you.
Yeah.
We don't have any agreements over here. It's just you're supposed to have some.
Yeah.
Format discussions, 30 seconds each, 30 seconds on a timer, back and forth. It goes like this. When I hear you say blah, 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 what I make up about that is blah, blah, blah. And about that, I feel blah, blah. Now, in the middle, you can stuff some stuff. You can say, what I make up about that is, Waylon, you are smoking cigars again.
Yeah.
And then at the end, rather than, well, you have to put feeling words. You can't say, I feel I want to leave the marriage.
Yeah.
Number 5, you must manage your primary defects or surrender them or something. Number 6, you must manage your secondary defects. And number 7, you must manage your third level defects. Now, first level defects have to do with addictions, plural. Second level defects have to do with level-headed self-expression. Third level defects have to do with the laundry. So the acronym here is ALL, because you have addictions, level-headed self-expression, and laundry. You have to do all of your inner and outer laundry. Now, what they tell me is that I have to lead with vulnerability. Lead with vulnerability. And when all else fails, well, we do what I call Shakespeare in the Park. See, Waylon and I made a lot of noise over here the first few years. So now we go out, years. We go out by the fence and we put on these little productions. And Waylon says, oh, honey, I love what you did over here in the garden. I don't garden. We just make things up. It ain't Shakespeare, honey. All right. Now, couples therapy is not working. You are going to have to go to individual therapy. Get yourself some space, because you do not want your marriage to end up looking like this.
Yeah.
Now, individual therapy is not working. You are going to have to go to trauma therapy, EMDR, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing. This is based on how a PhD felt better after watching ducks cross a pond and back, cross a pond and back. Yeah. Vietnam vets, well, this works to some extent for Vietnam vets. Not being a vet, I don't really know. I can tell you I've done this for 10 solid years, weekly. By the end, I felt like enormous car parts had been lifted out of my body, had exited, huge car parts from the 1930s. Did it help the marriage? Well, I cried so much on Monday that it was impossible to get ticked off.
Yeah.
Also, Waylon loves it when I cry. Isn't there something deeply wrong with that? I'll tell you one other thing. Using this process, I did make some shit up. I did. And I don't have time to discuss it, but you may make some shit up about your family members using this process. But you didn't need your inheritance anyway.
Yeah.
Did you? Now, Patrick Carnes says very clearly that he believes, and I agree, that it absolutely does not work to treat people in a coupleship individually. And makes sense to me, having experienced all of this. The other thing that does not work is couples therapy. The numbers are that it helps 33%, and then that goes down to 16% in the first year. Those are the numbers that I've seen that I trust. You know what did help us is a little recovering couples group. I shouldn't mention it because it reflects poorly on the group that we are members. The other thing that really helped is to have a fireplace that was not completed. We put this horrible wood-burning insert in our home the first year, and it was grotesque. And it took us 12 years to complete the fireplace. So for 12 years, we had to look at that and say, we cannot sell the house. Voila, no divorce. Now I have a little chart for you I've made summarizing my investments over a 50-year period in this inner work project. Here we have focusing in pink, which is the best therapeutic technique on the planet. I don't have time to discuss it, but it was created by Dr. Eugene Gendlin based on research on what works in therapy at the University of Chicago. And it's the best, yeah. Red was for therapy, black is for meditation, and green is for anonymous groups. Here you have clearly illustrated my Dow Jones and S&P averages of my investments in these activities over a period of 50 years. Now, here we have a spike in therapy, about 38 hours a week. And here we have a spike in meditation, also over 30 hours a week, because I met a man who, of course, was into meditation. Now, I have another little chart for you. I just want to cover this briefly. Here's a little chart. Now, you have 50 years across the top. I don't know if you can see that. You have the 50 years, 50 years across the top, and then you've got the weekly averages in the middle, and down the sides you have the activity. You have the activities. Now, just want to tell you, I have had 3.5 therapists and 1 psychiatrist in my family. I once got off of jury duty as a result. I did not get a PhD. I went to therapy. And here are my conclusions after 46,366 hours of experiential research, not including sweat lodges, living in what amounted to a tree house, gasoline and drive time, not to mention the money spent. This is well over 4 tipping points. You can take out the meditation and you have 22,368 hours of trauma removal, therapy, and inner work. I had hoped that EMDR was going to be the answer for children who grow up in poverty-stricken environments, surrounded not only by guns, but gunfire. But having experienced the best of what they have with some excellent therapists, I can tell you that what they have for attachment issues and childhood wounding is primitive. Primitive. I heard a comedian say recently that he was going to go back to therapy because he has an anger issue. Good fucking luck. Now, I want to tell him and I want to tell you that what's going to happen is you do all this, you do this for years, and then once a week for 10 seconds, just 10 seconds, you blurt something out, making the entire marriage unworkable. I was at one point a realtor. I found myself talking people out of selling their homes, not a way to make a living. Now I try to talk people out of getting married. Also, not a way to make a living. I cannot tell you how sick I am of trying to lead with vulnerability after 21 and a half years. I do not care about vaginas anymore. I care about aesthetics. And if I cannot make a better go of marriage than this, being white and middle class with all of the privilege that brings, I mean all the privilege that brings, all the privilege that brings. Number 1, prevention, 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 because there is no cure for trauma. There is no cure for trauma. We need to duplicate ad infinitum, I believe, something like the Harlem Children's Zone Project throughout the world, because they take children from the cradle through college graduation. They take not only the children, but the parents. Number 2, you may need to suck it up and buy your own furniture as well as your own cut glass. Number 3, not everyone should become a parent. And number 4, no matter what you do, do not fall for this little fairy tale that you will be happier living in an open concept floor plan.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Thank you all very much for coming to the Marsh today, and I want to thank the performers, Fontana Butterfield, Laura Sydell, Elizabeth DuVal, Annie Rovzar, and Lambeth Sterling. And again, thank you all for coming, and be sure and check out all the other interesting and fun and fascinating performances here at the Marsh. Thank you very, very much.